Maurice Nicol, Psychological Commentary, Volume 2, based on his work with Gurdjieff, February 8, 1945. Commentary on Conscious Love. Part 2 of 2. Everything that we see in the Gospels is about love. It's not obviously about self-love. Everything we see in the Gospels about love is obviously not about self-love. When the disciples quarreled about preeminence, they were told that to be great in the sense of the kingdom of heaven, they must become servants. The world and its psychology in us is contrasted with the kingdom of heaven and its psychology, something utterly different. When this work speaks of imaginary I, false personality, and so on, it is seeking to begin to bring us into another orientation, into a new psychology of ourselves, which is ultimately called, in the Gospels, the kingdom of heaven. It is of this love that John is speaking, and not the love of the world. And of the love, he says, if any man love the world and love the Father, well, if any man love the world, the love of the Father is not in him. For all that is in the world, the lust of the flesh, the lust of the eyes, and the vainglory of life, is not of the Father, but of the world. And he adds, speaking of the individual man and his attachments and identifyings, the world passeth away, and the lust thereof, but he that doeth the will of God abideth forever. If we could, all of us, catch this rope of which the work speaks and hold on to it, we would be better able to understand both what John means and what this work means. When the valuation of this work is great, it makes us strong inside. Apart from what is happening in life, we no longer have to prove ourselves in life to satisfy our fear, to keep our false personality, our reputation, because we begin to obey something quite different. That is, in our case, the teachings of the work. And this keeps something eternally young in us because we all have in us something that can always remain young and alive. But this means that we turn in another direction for our nourishment. And passing through the doorway called self-observation, we begin to find what it is we really want and what we really get, what we can really get. After a time, we begin to catch glimpses of what this love means, of which John speaks, and which the work calls conscious love, because we cease to play with ourselves and invent ourselves. So do we cease to play with and invent other people. And instead of trying to meet them and to get to know them from the outside inwards, we begin to feel and know them from the inside outwards. We begin to feel a common existence, which is without passion and simply is what it is without further definition. When we realize this point of inner experience, we begin to understand what conscious love is, how dimly, however dimly. But unless we have separated ourselves from our invention and pictures and falsities, we cannot reach this point, which is indefinable. We reach this point only through something stronger than life. If the work, if the Gospels, if all esotericism had not something stronger behind it than anything in life, we could never reach this point. But you must understand that in reaching this point, endless struggles are necessary, endless failures, confusions, and uncertainties, because it is we ourselves who have to win to this point by inner choice. All ages in the past, very many have reached this point, and they communicate their strength to us. Let us hope that we ourselves may reach this point where we come to realize that love has become perfected, casteth out all fear. Certainly taking ourselves for granted, taking ourselves as one, never letting the work into ourselves to break us up. We cannot expect to reach this point. Only a real I can love consciously. All this work is about how to reach real I. It is about what I's we have to leave behind from our own choice. Let us make a stronger feeling of the work in ourselves and all that it is connected with throughout the ages, and not simply be creatures of the moment.